A lot of Sonic the Hedgehog fans seem to hold the Archie comic book series in high regard. I don't, and here's why. This man is Ian Flynn, a self-proclaimed Sonic fan who was hired to write Archie Comics' Sonic the Hedgehog after the previous head writers, Ken Penders and Carl Bollers, left in a huff. His only published works prior to getting the job were a couple of fanfics and a fan comic. He is, in TV tropes terms, a promoted fanboy, and it shows. One of the things that Flynn was big on was pushing Sonic and his on-again, off-again love interest Sally Acorn as an item. In fact, one of his prime goals when he started working on the series was to get them back together after Carl Bollers had broken them up. He spent about his first 60 or so issues systematically removing Sonic's other potential love interests and contrived in idiotic ways, and teasing at the idea of Sally getting back on his romantic side. After a brief fling with another guy named Ken Khan, which was obviously never going to last because he's A, not Sonic, and B, actually has chemistry with her, Sally got back with Sonic and they started dating for realsies. This brings us to issue 222, the one where Sonic and Sally venture back into the realm of being more than friends. That's a quote from the official synopsis, by the way. No attempt is made to fool us into thinking this issue isn't just 20 pages of Flynn indulging in his shipper fantasies. Also, notice how Amy is standing off there in the background, looking taken aback as Sonic and Sally rush by in love's embrace. If that wasn't done purely to flip the bird to fans of the Sonic and Amy pairing, then I'm Barbara Streisand. And yes, this is an omen of things to come. The story begins with Sonic playing a game of Capture the Flag with Tails, his so-called friend whom he almost never hangs out with because Sally is his one and only true companion. Seriously, these two are billed as best buds, but they act more like distant co-workers. These few pages here are about all the interaction they have outside of the battlefield under Flynn's pen. Meanwhile, Sally's paying a visit to Ken. You know, the guy she was dating not long ago, broke up with so she could get back in Sonic's pants? Yeah, him. In a better comic, this would be a deliciously awkward scene where the two of them try to make small talk while ignoring the fact that they used to be lovebirds. Instead, they have a perfectly cordial and not at all uncomfortable conversation about current events, and Sally even informs them that she is now dating Sonic. Whoa, girl. I'm no expert on relationships, but even I know that walking up to your ex-boyfriend and telling you found someone else is a pretty rude thing to do. Especially since Ken and Sonic are practically rivals to begin with. With all that in mind, you expect him to get at least a little bit irritated. But he doesn't. He seems completely fine with this turn of events. In fact, he seems happy about it. He even gives her some pre-date pickup talk before she leaves. No, sorry, not buying it. I get that Ken has undergone some character development, meaning that he has his trademark temper replaced with a generic good guy Greg personality that's easy to write and boring to read. But the idea that anyone could be this cool under these circumstances is too big a pill for me to swallow. Of course, the real reason for this attitude is that Flynn wants Sally to be with Sonic, not Ken. The entire point of the Ken-Sally pairing was to demonstrate that no one can satisfy Sally's romantic needs the way Sonic can. The amount of legitimate chemistry they had together, including in this very scene, was purely accidental, I assure you. Now that his purpose has been dutifully served, Ken must simply vanish into the void of comic book limbo, his last action being to give his official endorsement to the writer's preferred pairing. Sally makes her exit through a warp ring and winds up walking out smack dab into Sonic's path as he dashes off to get ready for his next round with Tails. After having one of those rom-com style meet-cute moments, they both depart to get ready for their date. Sally frets over what to wear, while Sonic worries about playing it cool, and they both get an ace off about being themselves. I have two major issues with this scene. First of all, Sally already got the whole just be yourself and it'll all work out talk from Ken. Did she forget that quickly? Second, and more importantly, the sight of Sonic the Hedgehog scurrying around, preening himself, and worrying about impressing a girl just kind of rubs me the wrong way. This is not something I can see Sonic doing. Partly because Sonic's not a romantic type, and partly because he's so self-assured about his own coolness that I doubt he'd be concerned about looking bad in front of anyone. Especially not Sally, the girl he's been friends with since childhood. And that's another thing. These two didn't just meet, and this isn't their first date. Why are they acting like they need to make a good first impression if they're already well acquainted with each other? Later in the evening, Sonic and Sally meet up for their date, and he gets them into the fanciest restaurant in the city by threatening the doorman. Our hero, folks. After they take their wrongfully gained seats, Sonic is asked by the waiter whether he's going to deactivate Nicole, the AI who runs the city. Quick backstory. In a recent story arc, Nicole was mind-controlled by the evil technomancer, the Iron Queen, and used to enslave the citizens of New Metropolis. Everything got squared away in the end, but the citizens were left understandably paranoid about Nicole and angry at Sonic and Sally for doing nothing to prevent the incident in the first place. Sonic and Sally soon get sick of the ensuing bickering and make their exit. The crowd follows them out the door and demands an answer from them, but then Amy comes out of nowhere and lays her hammer down right on the spot, telling the crowd to lay off. The implication is that she has been following Sonic and Sally this whole time. Whether this is Flynn trying to make her look deranged or just plain old bad writing, I can't say. Amy tells Sonic and Sally to go on and have a nice date, then turns to the crowd and threatens them with bodily harm if they don't leave the two alone. She then leans back and declares that one day Sonic will be hers, but until then she wants him to be with Sally. If Flynn using Ken as a spokesman for his OTP annoyed me, then this outright infuriates me. I mean, yeah, right. Amy's dream in life is to become Sonic's bride. There's no way she'd sit back and let Sonic swoon into the arms of another girl. And her remark that he'll be hers one day doesn't cut it, because how does she know Sonic won't marry Sally? Spoilers, he does. Also, Amy literally ping-pongs between demonic rage and sugary sweetness 4 times in the space of 6 panels. This is how Flynn sees her, a bipolar, love-crazy succubus who exists as an obstacle to Sonic and Sally's true love, and with this scene, he has now removed her from the equation. Our two lovers make their escape to a nearby lake, where they exchange tooth-rotting romantic dialogue and remind us that Fiona was a total harlot and Sonic regrets ever dating her. Sally's flings with Ken and Jeffrey St. John are so over, and Sonic and Mia were never dating, why would you even think that? And then they cap off the scene with some of the most gag-worthy love talk I have ever seen. Seriously, pause this video and read this stuff out loud. It's hilarious. I can't even get offended at it. It's just too funny. However, I can get offended at the way the relationship these two have is presented as true love, and it looks more like teenage hormones at work. The process of their getting together involved Flynn syncing all of their other relationships and having them make half-witted Bambi eyes at each other, and their entire basis for being so infatuated with each other is that, well, they just are. Flynn's own explanation was that her caution and intellect presented a perfect foil for Sonic's impulsiveness and devil-may-care attitude. In other words, opposites attract. That doesn't cut it for me. Two people that have such different personalities would not be able to have a fulfilling relationship in real life. No, things would be fine at first, but they would start clashing with each other, and the affair would sputter along for a while before their differences became too major to ignore and they parted ways. If Sonic and Sally's relationship was handled realistically, that's pretty much what would happen, and I think Flynn knew that. Notice Sonic's last line here. I guess I can slow down. For you. Basically, I guess I can change a core facet of my character to make this faulty relationship work. That kind of says it all.